right there. It was a typical Monday, and time for Jeannie to come home for lunch, as she does every day. When she turned the corner to her street, she noticed 2 police cars parked outside her home, and a handcuffed man being led out her front door. She was later informed that the man, armed with a gun, had broken into her home, and that just so happened that a neighbor witnessed the break-in and put a call into police. Fortunately, Jeannie is safe. There are some who do not share her fortune. There are times when we have to leave our homes for either an 8-hour job or a 2-week vacation. And it's not unusual to ask yourself, did I remember to lock all the windows and doors? Especially following an FBI crime report of 2012 that give the odds of your home being broken into as 1 out of every 36 homes. Let us return to Jeannie for a moment. The neighbor who lived next door and witnessed the break-in and then called police was me. My bedroom window faced Jeannie's back door, and I'm so thankful that I was home that day and was able to prevent Jeannie from walking into any unwelcome danger. We live in a fallen world where crime is prevalent, so we need to look out for one another in a manner that honors God's values of virtue and righteousness. In the minutes that follow, I will validate such a statement by first identifying and defining street crimes. Next, discuss the statistics and overall benefits of neighborhood watch programs. And lastly, how a dishonorable act can be put to rest in a manner that honors God's values. Let us start our discussion by defining neighborhood street crimes. According to Ashley Duger, who is an established prosecutor and legal writer from New York, defines street crimes as any criminal offense that occurs in any public place. She explains that street crimes generally fall into 2 categories. Crimes against persons, which involves bodily harm or the threat thereof. Crimes against property, involving crimes of theft or damage of property. Now that we have a generalized definition of street crimes, let us focus on Neighborhood Watch Program interventions. The National Neighborhood Watch Program, or the NNW, began in early 1972 when neighborhood crime was at its peak. The program at its infancy reported a 3% decrease in neighborhood street crime. And following the terrorist attacks of 2001, there are now over 24,000 NNW programs across the United States. Street crime has diminished approximately 16% with the installation of the Neighborhood Watch warning signs. It is home security at its most local level. These intervention programs are beneficial in that they create a greater sense of security and reduce the fear of crime. Build relationships with neighbors. Neighbors look out for one another, stimulating neighborhood awareness. We now know how to identify street crime and the benefits of an established neighborhood watch program. Now let's turn to how these programs honor God's values of virtue and righteousness. God's value of virtue can be found in such scripture as Ephesians 4, verse 25. Therefore, having put away falsehood, let each one of you speak the truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. And being a part of a neighborhood watch program reflects such communal membership. To honor God's value of righteousness, we must remember that being a member of a neighborhood watch program does empower residents to become more involved in active street crimes. However, it does not empower any citizen to take action on their own, but to work in conjunction with local law enforcement. This brings us to the closing. Today we have discussed street crimes. We also explored the statistical decline of street crime from infancy to the present. Lastly, we discussed God's values of virtue and righteousness, and how neighborhood watch intervention promotes such values according to Scripture. Crime is inevitable in a fallen world where sin is prevalent. With that being said, as Christians and neighbors, we need to stand together against street crimes to create safer communities. True heroes do not wear capes, masks, or spin webs. It's neighbors like you, like me, who live behind this sign. Thank you.